Excellent, guys. So we are live now. Our attendees will start coming in. We'll just wait for a minute or so, and then we can launch the program. So before we do that, I want to tell you that yesterday we had day one of our summit, and it was amazing. Like we had people from US and India. We had one co-founder of an accelerator, startup accelerator, and then we had we had Noori, who is running a text master named company again on compliance and governance. And he's already made two successful exits, and there was a lady called Sandy uh, who helps students and kids and even adults and senior people learn programming and help them get a better job in software world.
Sounds interesting indeed.
Yes. So we're going to be having so much fun today as well. I believe we have a lot of common things and a lot of interesting insights to share. Doron, I just, before we actually do the formal launch, I wanted to know how did you do your transition after doing your law from TAU and then running a tech company?
Well, we could have a discussion about my career path, and it probably would take more than an hour that we have here. I actually worked as a lawyer for a few years, and then I realized that this is exactly what I do not want to do in life.
All right.
And I got to a point in my career that I had to decide, what do I do next? So I took my MBA, and at the same time I looked for a job, pretty much any job in more of a commercial company.
All right.
And I started off as an acting CFO for a company that was an agri-tech company. Very exciting concept, but too early for its time. And that was my penetration for the commercial market. And I moved on from there to be a CFO and a COO of a company that was in a kind of a telco company. That's 2004. And funny enough, this week, and because I was an executive there, so I got some stock options. I was already vested, and this week I got an email from them saying the company is going through a transaction. Someone's going to buy all the ordinary shares. You have some, so you're going to get about $1,500 for it. Are you okay with it? I said okay. Wow. Never thought it would be worth anything. $1,500. Okay,
right.
I will do it. And then my career rolled, and you spoke about cybersecurity, and I spent the bigger part of my career so far with Checkpoint Software Technologies. I was head of facilities, procurement, real estate, and employee services. Very challenging position. And, I gathered tools throughout my career from the different perspectives and different aspects, a different point of view that I believe helped me a lot in what I do today.
Wow, excellent. That's an inspiring story, Doron. So let's start today's summit. Thank you so much, all of you, to joining in. I am Prayank Khandelwal. I am an computer science engineer and a lawyer and also a patent agent in India. I run an intellectual property firm called as Photon Legal in India. We are a group of individuals who are focused on delivering unique strategies to all of our clients who are coming up with a lot of interesting, innovative ideas, be it in India, be it in Israel, be it from the US. The location does not matter, as we can all provide the solutions to all of them remotely. Now, before we begin and introduce all of you, I just wanted to set a context of what people can expect from the session. So we're going to be talking about different strategies which startups should adopt. How important is innovation in your overall roadmap of your company success? Why one should be paying very close attention to different IP policies, different cyber attacks which are happening all over, because we have a cyber specialist as well. And we're going to be touching all of this information in a fun and a discussion environment. All right. So thank you so much once again, Shivangi, Doron, and Ilan for your time. I'll just quickly introduce the panel to everybody so that people would know each of you guys. So Doran, I'll start with you. Doran started, so Doran runs a company which is called as Point Grab, and they are focused on automation platform which will help you to understand where exactly you are present in a one particular building. So the Point Grab provides an analytics system and gives you data points on exact locations and the time and the distance between two individuals as well in one premise. So these guys are using IoT, computer vision, AI, deep learning, and all lot of other technologies to provide you such an insightful data. We're gonna be hearing so much of such information in the session today. Thank you so much, Doran, for joining in.
Thanks for hosting this.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. Now we have Ilan. So Ilan runs an AI assistant. So the company is called as Exceed.ai, and Ilan has made an AI assistant which will help the marketing and sales team so easily, and it will make the sales process so easily that you will never miss a lead which is coming to your website. So thank you so much, Ellen, for joining in here. We're going to be, we wish to learn so many technologies and so many tips and tricks to capture our leads and make our sales process more than efficient what we have today. Thank you so much. Ellen, you got to unmute yourself.
Hi, great to be here, and thank you for having me.
No problem. And then we have on our panel Shivangi. So Shivangi Shivangi has co-founded a company called as Arca. Shivangi, am I pronouncing the company name correctly?
That's
All
right.
Yes. So Arca, and she is an expert in data privacy and cybersecurity. And cybersecurity is also one of the dearest subject to me, as that was the only reason why I could move to Israel to learn cybersecurity in Tel Aviv University. And but later on, I ended up pursuing my career in intellectual property and running a firm. But yes, it all started because of cybersecurity and an active interest in that. So we're gonna be learning from Shivangi the challenges she had while writing a book, being a faculty, also her challenges while teaching, and a lot of tips and tricks for all the viewers on the cybersecurity front. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining in. Let's start the panel discussion with the first question to the lady of the panel. Shivangi, as I was mentioning that cybersecurity has been one of the interesting subject, and a lot is still not clear among people, right? So how do you convey this message whenever you approach any client or whenever you approach any individual about mystifying their beliefs, demystifying their previously formed mentalities on cybersecurity? How do you go about it?
Oh, that's a tough one. I've been in this industry for a fairly long time, and I've found that addressing cybersecurity sometimes is it's a bit like insurance. Sometimes you need pushed over the edge by an external factor before you actually take it seriously, or of course if you have been hit yourself. But so just as you have laws and regulations to make you buy that auto insurance, similarly I feel that until there's some sort of law or regulation to comply with, organizations rarely take that little extra step they need to move over. So we kind of, that becomes a primary driver. But I'm not saying that that's the only thing. Of course, most people are, as they go increasingly digital, are becoming more and more concerned, and therefore are looking at this. So we actually come in at a stage where they've decided they need to do something about it and are trying to figure out when, how, why kind of answers, don't know where to start. Some of them have already begun their journeys, they've got the basics in place. So We often get questions about, hey, I have an SSL certificate on my site, so it's absolutely secure, and I have, UTM devices, firewalls, antivirus. So what more do I need to do? So our job is basically to help demystify some of the folks who are sincerely worried. We help them find a structure, a framework, attack the problem from a risk perspective. So we basically help organizations implement and manage their security and privacy programs, and advise them where they need what kind of controls, what products to put in place, so on and so forth. So it's an interesting journey, but the moment you start linking the conversation to business and risk, most people understand it better.
Wow, interesting. Excellent. Yes, so you mentioned a very correct point that even just having a SSL certificate on the website does not make that you are cyber proof, right? You never know what kind of different attacks people are gonna do. People are gonna do a DDoS attack or any other attack, or even a phishing attack can happen through a contact form, which is available on your SSL compliant website too. So yes, I'm sure that you must be finding this a lot of challenging task as well to teach people and clear their all the thoughts which they have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
That's it interesting.
Yes, amazing. So let's move on to Doron. As I was mentioning earlier, so Doron runs a company called as Point Grab, and I've checked your website, and it's so fascinating that you guys actually came up with an innovative product which can help all the law enforcement bodies and the governments to take proper measures for maintaining social distancing. Tell us about that.
Yeah,
What
so
kind of innovation you guys have done in that?
so thank you. I'll try to describe the company or the product the way I do it usually. That's the easiest elevator pitch I've ever had in my life. And I know that some of the audience are people who consider being entrepreneurs or maybe are entrepreneurs by now. It is so important that your idea is easy to explain. Once it is easy to explain, doors are opening. And I worked in companies in which it was very challenging. So I'll explain to you very, very simply what a solution is. It's a sensor that sits in the ceiling of any given space and provides accurate data about the count and location of people within that space. That's it, end of the pitch, right?
Wow.
That's what we do. Now, there are a few additions to it. The whole idea is to not violate people's privacy. So the immediate suspect, so to speak, or the immediate customer would be big organizations who hold large quantity of real estate, and we're providing them this ability to pretty much manage the human flow within their buildings. That was very right prior to COVID-19. It is even more accurate and urgent post-COVID-19, because just like you mentioned, it is about social distancing. It's about limitations of how many people are supposed to gather in a room, in a floor, in a space. And just imagine having a screen that presents you the real time data about the count of people within any given space within that floor or shop or building. And just imagine if you can get, as the manager of that building or the owner of that company, a report that is an online report, real time, that provides you percentage of cases in which there was violation of any social distancing. Suppose people were supposed to keep 6 feet in between, and 87% of the time it was okay, but 13% it was not okay. So at least you have the data, you can monitor it, you can manage it. So even prior to COVID, there was a big and large demand coming, and after COVID, it's becoming even more urgent for many of our customers. I think that I have one more point of view that relates to innovation. PointGrab was established over a decade ago with a totally different technology. It started off with a service or a solution that was aimed at gesture control, raising the volume in TV, lowering the volume, and so forth. And about 5 or 6 years ago, the founders of the company stopped for a minute and said, listen, this market is gone. There's no more market for it. And they could choose between two options. One of them was to give back the money to the shareholders, to the investors, and the other one was to do a pivotal change. And they did the pivotal change. And speaking of creative thinking, they came with some basic idea, by the way, well protected in terms of intellectual property. And they said, how can we transform this into a product, into a solution that will be more suitable for the future, near future, hopefully, of smart buildings. And that is how they came with this solution. I cannot take and will not take any credit for this innovation, for this service. I only joined the company in 2018. So every bit of innovative in the product itself, or most of it, came before my time. We are investing a lot of time and efforts now in being more innovative. Perhaps we'll talk about it a bit later. I don't want to steal too much of time here. How to keep market leadership, how to keep being more and more innovative within this ecosystem.
Wow, excellent. I really like this point that you made, that before COVID, the product was just to tell you the number of people present in one particular building. And post-COVID, because the company has so much focus on innovation, you just tweaked your same system to serve another greater purpose, which is to maintain social distancing, generate a report, a log sheet, which mentions the times of violation as well. So that's an interesting tweak you guys did at Point Grab. And I believe that's one of the most useful innovation for today's era as well, when we are thinking of going back to the offices, going back to the normal life, hit our gyms, go and enjoy out in the clubs, and somebody is there.
I totally agree, and it is also about how fast you react. I was on a conference in Berlin in the end of February. I landed back in Israel in the airport on March 2nd. So that's like the beginning of COVID.
Right.
When I landed in the airport, I got a call from my chairman of the board. He's an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, very, very sharp instincts. And he calls me and he said, Doron, Corona is here to stay. We need to come with a solution to the market. And I said, are you sure? I mean, there are hardly any people outside of China that are, it doesn't look like it's going to stay that long. I mean, we went through SARS and we went through this and that. He said, Doron, trust me, it's here to stay. I said, okay, if this is the case, I take your experience. From that time, it took us 20 days. On March 22nd, we already had a ready clip with this with this use case. We worked on it quite extensively. At the same time, started working on a software kind of a deviation of what we've done before. There will be more focus on that. Chose a channel partner that we will work with, because we're working with end customers through channel partners. So he had already an end customer. That the end customer is Cushman & Wakefield. I hope some of you know them. And that's it. By the end of May, we already had a pilot going in an office. By June, we already had a report of it working and an analysis of how does it work, right? So yes, it was fast and we had to react fast.
Wow. So not only you did react fast, you had a vision. As your chairman had a vision saying that COVID is going to stay here. And if we want to survive, we must do certain innovation and grab this opportunity by both of our hands. In fact, hug this opportunity and make most of these situation. That's a great entrepreneurial spirit. I like this so much. I like this so much. All right, let's move to Ilan. Hi, Ilan. You've been quite for some time. So here is what I would like to know from you. In this COVID time, a lot of people are spending most of the time on digital platforms. Right. They are browsing through a lot of social medias. They are browsing through a lot of content, reading a lot of blogs, visiting so many websites. So how easy it is when all the people in the world are spending their time online, how easy is it to convert and grab a lead online?
All right, so let me, it's never easy. Let's start with that. And I'm not sure how much our software can actually help with that, because it's not, because what we do is we allow marketing and sales teams to have conversations at scale with their prospects, their leads and customers. And we do that in the form of engaging those leads on the website with a chat. And that's nothing special. There's plenty of chatbots out there that can engage a lead. But what really makes us and sets us apart, it's our ability to have a two-way email communication with leads for the purpose of following up, scheduling meetings, qualifying them, and when leads are ready for sales, then handing them over to real people. So where we fit is really in the world of automation, and we help companies get more out of their existing leads and investments they have made with capturing those leads. And we give them a higher ROI in places where there is diminishing returns in putting people at the problem. So you can look at us as a kind of a RPA, robotic process automation, but for sales and marketing, that is much more sophisticated because it actually understands what humans are saying, understands emails, knows how to respond, and also knows when it doesn't understand and knows when to get a person and when to get a person involved. So we don't help really capture leads, we really help converting them into opportunities.
Wow. So what you're saying is you have written some softwares which are mimicking the human conversation and helping your marketing and sales team with a qualified lead?
Absolutely, it's exactly what we do. And
wow.
what we know out of the box, what we have done, we analyzed millions of interactions. We identified that 80, maybe 90% of those interactions are exactly the same, no matter what you're selling. People will always ask you a question about pricing, will want more information, a case study, do you have a free trial, are you GDPR compliant, what languages you support, just replace. The answer might be different, but what people are asking is very similar. And even the type of qualification questions that people ask are very, very similar. Maybe the expectations of their response will be different. So what's nice about what we have done is out of the box, we can support a very, I don't know, 80% of the use cases. And sometimes customers can do adjustments based on their business. And we also learn from the reps as they correct us or as they edit some of the responses. When we are unsure what to do, we continuously learn from those interactions.
Wow, it's interesting to know that a lot of focus you put in understanding what so many people are already saying. So basically you're learning from their conversations, learning from the data which you have. And I can fairly say that data is very key for your entire business model as well.
Correct. So we have we collected huge amounts of data from initially ourselves and then our clients.
That's fascinating. Wow. So which brings me to the next question to Shivangi. Now where we are saying, all of us are saying that data is king. Okay, data is your IP. Data can help you to make a lot of innovative products like Ilan just did. He analyzed the data of people asking different questions like pricing, product features, qualification questions for buying a product. Now, all of this data is being used by technological companies for their individual use cases. You being a cyber expert and data privacy expert, what advice do you have to people who are using this data at their different companies for their own good? How should they handle this data?
So first of all, I think today the kind of power that data brings is fascinating, immense, and it can be used for so much good, right? So what we need to keep in mind while we remember that is that there are risks also associated with data. So there are risks of what on one hand, data getting into the wrong hands, data getting tampered with, data getting stolen. That's one kind of risk, right? Which we typically bucket under what is known as cybersecurity or information security, right? And then there's a risk associated with using data for purposes it was not meant to be used, right? and especially when that data is personal data, is what all the privacy and data protection laws are all about, right? Which is essentially ensuring that if it's your data and my data, which is in the control of an entity, it is not used for something which I am not okay with, end of the day. But the problem
Right.
of crisis is that you and I are often not in a position to even decide whether something is appropriate for me or not, because we don't understand the downstream implications, which is why you have laws and regulations and frameworks that come into play, because somebody has to look out for our safety, right? It's a bit like how you need governments to step in and put signals on the road, otherwise people will drive however they want to, right? So
Right.
it's that if you're working with data, go on doing the immensely powerful stuff that you do, but remember to keep it within the boundaries of managing this risk, so that you don't end up inadvertently doing harm or being a victim of somebody else trying to do harm. That's really where that's the perspective that you need to keep in mind, that it's not as though just because you have the data you can do whatever you feel like with it.
Wow, that's an important note for everybody to write down, that you cannot do anything and everything you want by just having a data. You must adhere to certain laws of the land and comply with those, and then use the data to tremendously help you out in all of your daily operations. Thank you so much, Shivangi, for that information. You also touched upon the factor of risk, right? So I just want to take the risk associated with data handling to a risk associated to any investor. Uh, Whenever somebody is investing any business or any idea or a startup. So my question to Doron would be, first of all, I would like to understand or know from you that whether Point Grab is a funded startup or it's a bootstrapped one.
So Point Grab is selling an increasing amount of money over the last few years. We still need the support of our shareholders to keep us alive. We're on the verge of being on break even. So we're close to that. What we are trying to do now is raise funds as a growth round. We see a lot of demand. We see a lot of things that we want to do with our product and with the market. So we're looking to raise more money on a growth round rather than on a survival mode.
Right. So when you go to an investor, I'm sure that this is also part of your KRAs. One of the things which a leader has to do is get funds to the business. So when you go out and ask for $1 million check, what type of risk questions come to you? How do you deal with that?
First of all, it's a whole spectrum of issues that are related to risk, from security, like you touched before, the stability of the company, business side, IP side. There are so many different issues. I think that it's almost a state of mind that when I'm speaking to potential investors, and by the way, I treat my current shareholders potential investors as well. They are putting more money into the company all the time when it's needed. It's not to come from a defensive point of view. It's not about, wow, there's a mountain of risks here, but somewhere around in the end of the tunnel, there might be a huge a unicorn yet. That's not the story. The big story is the unicorn possibility.
Right.
And it does not have to be a unicorn in the size of Facebook or Mobileye or any of these. It just should be a company that pays your investors 5 times or 10 times on the money that they've invested. And it is all about the market and the ecosystem. Security has been a hot market for the last probably 10 or 15 years. Automotive has become very hot over the last 5 years, and commercial real estate is becoming very hot now. But I can give you a short story about the founder of Checkpoint. When they started the company, and I think it's about 1997 or so, if I'm not mistaken. You were talking about cybersecurity. People would look at you as if you just landed from another planet. What are you talking about? There's no internet. What exactly are you securing? And they had a vision. They've done some things before that in the army, and they were working on it, on a solution. They worked in an apartment of there are 3 founders there, sat on the grandmother's balcony, drinking a lot of Coke and coding. That's what they've done. And they had some form of a product that they thought they had, and they were lucky enough to find a customer that wanted to check it out. The customer was an Israeli customer sitting in the central business district, right in Tel Aviv. And they came to the office and they explained to the CEO of that company, listen, some people would want to breach your network, would try to penetrate your network, get some information. And the CEO was looking at it and said, that doesn't sound very likely to me. He said, yes, the world, internet is going to be everywhere. You need to be protected on time. And let us show you how it works. And they installed the software and tried to show him how it works. And as they were doing it, they feel that someone is trying to penetrate the system. An external person is trying to penetrate the system. And they were thinking for themselves, what are the chances? And they double checked, and it was actually someone trying to penetrate the system. And and they had enough of data within their initial firewall to realize that they could find out who that person is, what is his IP address. And apparently it was the IT manager of that company that was fired just 2 weeks before that, trying to get into the systems and steal it. So it's luck, it's timing, it's the having a product that is mature and good enough when you're going to the market, all of this. And you said risks, all of these are risks. They could have come 1 hour earlier or 1 hour later and not catch anything. They could have developed the system 1 year earlier and not have enough of funds to go on to be a company that's now worth about $18 billion.
Right.
All of it could have happened. So when you are investing, you see risks, but I think risks are being eliminated or at least reduced. The more certainty you have at the person that is speaking in front of you, at the product that you see. There's a big difference between a product that's already installed in multiple locations and a product that is a dream. And a lot of other factors indeed.
Wow, excellent. So you also touched upon the topic that while mitigating this risk, investor also looks at multiple things. And one of the key things which I would pick up from the sense is IP. How important is it for a tech company to protect their IP?
I can tell you that in my eyes, in some cases, this will be the difference between life and death.
Oh.
As simple as that. If you think that you have a brilliant idea and you just so happen to threaten or work in the same ecosystem of some huge company, the minute they will sue you in the US, you are gone.
Right.
Doesn't really matter if you afterwards win or lose. Just the minute that you're on their radar and they feel that it is important enough a risk to sue you and start litigation process in the US, that's it. That's the end of your story.
Absolutely.
I can tell you that from my perspective, our IP is relatively well protected. It's better protected than our competitors. It is one of our competitive edge when we're comparing ourselves. And you haven't asked about it, but I will answer anyway. We do have an IP strategy.
That's wonderful.
IP strategy is divided into defensive and offensive. Defensive, we need to make sure that whatever we develop, whatever we invented is well protected. No one can steal it away. If someone is trying to steal it away, we can sue him. It's registered. We have to invest money in the process and afterwards in maintenance. We need a legal counselor that will understand the material. It has to be dedicated for that material. You can't take a commercial lawyer, you can't take a real estate lawyer and expect him to support you on IP. That's on one hand. And on the other hand, we have an offensive strategy. If we feel that we have a competitor that developed something that is close enough to what we did, we check if they have any registered patents. If they don't, Try to put our hands on their solution, try to see if they're violating any of our patents. And the very fact that we can do that puts us in a different position altogether. And there are other steps that we do take that I will not publicly speak about.
No problem. In fact, you have spoken a lot about the importance of IP, and that has made my work easier. I'm just going to record the session, record this clipping, and the statement which you made that IP can actually make difference between life and death for a startup or any business.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Just let me know where to send the invoice.
Of course, you can just say hi to me, and I'll hi you back, and that will be our transaction.
No problem.
So yes, so one of the important thing Doron mentioned is IP strategy is something which Point Grab has actually grabbed, and they have offensive as well as defensive strategy. And whenever a competitor tries to come into their radar, they actually go ahead and shoot it. So that's so important. And at Photon Legal, Doron, we also do this because a lot of startups, a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs who have excellent ideas, and they think that, okay, nobody in the world has done this, and we are the first mover. We have this early mover advantage. We want to protect it. Okay, but they do not realize why they are filing a patent. They do not have a strategy. Just say that, okay, this is my idea. File this in India, US, America, China, whatever, without even thinking whether they're going to be having their customer from those countries, whether they have the competitor coming from those countries or not, on what kind of patents should they be filing. So at Photon, we take a step back with all of our existing clients and the prospective clients, and we talk to them about the strategy. Why do you wish to file an IP? Do you wish to stop people from entering into the market? And if yes, are you open to sue them up, or you want to license your technologies out, or you just want to file patents for future perspective according to their vision? And it's even more important, as you mentioned, that you have the vision for IP. You consider IP as an asset, which a lot of people in industry still consider as a cost and not as an investment. So yes, thank you so much, Doron, for clarifying all of these doubts and explaining Point Grab's stance on importance of IP. Thank you so much. So now I'm just pulling some of the words and the discussion from your dialogue, and I'm throwing it away to Ilan to ask about how are you stopping your competitor, because everybody is having data of everybody, and everybody is having AI assistant platforms as well. How do you differentiate yourself? How do you stop your competitor? Ilan, you gotta unmute yourself.
Sorry. Okay, so interestingly enough, we just started the process of filing a few patents for some of the algorithms that we developed.
Mm-hmm.
That was before I got to know you guys. And then I think that to protect yourself, there's many ways to protect yourself. There's companies that protect themselves because they have, for example, like a network effect. It's very hard to break a network effect. But there's also something that is called the data network effect. Mm-hmm. And the data network effect means that the more customers you have, the more data you have. The more data you have, the better your product is, and then the more customers you're going to have. And I think that what we are developing right now is a data network effect. Okay, because it's not quite accurate to say that everybody has data. Getting to people's emails in the right context and the right use case is actually very difficult. Okay, and the start here was very painful. You can't buy correspondence that happened between companies and the reps. It's almost impossible to buy. So we do have challenges around data management, like Shivangi explained about how we use, what we retain, how we anonymize, what part of the data we can keep for our own training, and how we manage it. And some customers don't want us to keep it. But by now we have enough examples that our product is in a very good place, and we have a good baseline, and now we are continuing to expand to other type of use cases and other type of interactions. So that said, it doesn't mean that other companies in our space who do have access to emails cannot start developing it. So I would say it's a combination of the data network effect we have, plus the knowledge and algorithms and patents we have to try and protect ourselves. It's not just one layer of defense. I think there are several layers, both on the application level, data level, and patents.
Absolutely. Wow, interesting. So in fact, we also had a similar situation around 6 months back when one of the startup company in India approached us and asked us about protection for their virtual virtual assistant. Now, this assistant was helping insurance companies to cut down on the conversation between the insurance agent, the agent who's sitting in the customer center, and the uh, people who are using the product. And there have been a lot of to and fro discussions happening all across the agents and the users, because somebody wants to have insurance documents, somebody wants to check how much the renewal is pending and all of that, and everything was in a structured fashion. The conversation was used to happen either over phones or via text or email, and it was all recorded. So our client came up with a solution to actually automate the whole entire process. And then their biggest worry was, if I go out and disclose this pitch out to the people, there will be hundreds of other people jumping right into copy this algorithm, right into copy the steps and the manner in which they are performing to help out this time crunch. So the first thing these clients did is they came to us and we filed a patent, and we got a patent grant for them in just 7 months in India. And now they've got funding because they are putting a barrier to their competition. And nobody in this space, at least in India, is doing this. And that's how the people are taking competitive advantage by filing and protecting their algorithms, by protecting their ideas, as you mentioned. It's very important to protect those. Thank you so much, Ilan, for sharing that note. Uh, Moving on to Shivangi, I have a very specific question. In fact, this question came after we posted this event on social media. One of my uh, old friend dropped me a message saying that, can you just ask Shivangi how much risk are we putting ourselves on when we are installing pirated softwares to our PCs? Of
Oh
course,
my,
as an IP attorney, I said you should not be doing that, okay, because it hurts. We are helping people to stop this, and we are taking offensive action against people who are doing this. But as a friend, he asked me to ask you this question: how much risk is one getting exposed to when they are installing these pirated softwares?
I mean, I'm not even going into the legal aspects of it. I
Yeah.
think your technical risk is humongous. I mean, where are you getting the pirated software from? Do you even know what else is, what are the Trojans, what is the hidden malicious software installed in that, the piece of code that you're installing? How do you know nobody's prying on you, nobody's spying on you, nobody's taking data away? You won't even know what is going on in the background. I mean, to save what, a few thousand rupees,
Few
you
thousands, yes.
sure, and you're going to do banking from the same laptop or PC. I mean, I wouldn't even want to go there. Just say no.
Wow. So the single piece of advice would be, do not do this, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And what if people are already doing this? Okay, now we happen to do this webinar on 23rd of September, which is today. And before, let's say, hearing us out, or rather hearing you out, there are so many people out in India and all the part of the world who are using pirated software. What measures should they now take to protect themselves?
Please uninstall. Please buy, pay for the software, buy license copies from a, trusted source, and only then use it. And if you still don't want to do it, then please don't do anything serious on that laptop or machine that you're using. I mean, please understand that whatever you're doing there is available to you, God knows who.
Mhm. All
Okay.
right. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. I also want to know from you, what challenges are you actually facing while you go to these universities and different companies as a faculty to teach about cybersec and data privacy?
Okay, I just want to correct. I don't teach at colleges.
Okay.
Faculty on some couple of, I mean, basically only for privacy courses, which are hosted by, in India, you have the Data Security Council of India, DSCI, which is an ASCOM body. They have a couple of specialized courses on privacy. I teach those, and I've recently partnered with the largest privacy body in the world, IAPP, and we're going to be teaching their courses in India as well. So I only teach a very specific domain of that I know, which is data privacy, implementing of data privacy programs and the domain. So challenges, well, for most people whom we our participants happen to be people who are prospective practitioners who want to implement privacy, understand privacy. A lot of lawyers also who come.
Right.
So the challenge is because it's a completely new domain. Comes with some perceptions, and then a lot of those perceptions get cleared. And I think people realize what a fascinating field it is once they get into it. So it's fun, it's nice, it's interesting and exciting to teach a domain which is very, very new. And I learn as much as I teach from my participants. So there's a lot that I learn, and that's what I enjoy doing, and I take time out for that.
Excellent. Thank you so much on touching on that. People do love cybersecurity. Of course, it's my first love, and it's gonna be the same when it comes to tech. So yes, thank you so much for sharing that. Uh, I would like to move to Doran to understand how important it is for your employees when they know that okay, they are building something which is great and it's gonna have future impact, it's gonna have an impact in the future when it comes to innovations at point grab. So what value does an employee who is working at your team sees in your company's vision?
It's dramatic. It's not less than dramatic. I had tough days leading Point Grub through very troubling water when we really had trouble finishing and paying salaries on time, paying our vendors on time. And the two things that kept the team together, and at least in Israel, the market for professionals, especially in R&D, technology in general, there's always demand for them with very high salaries. I mean,
Right.
you spoke about a few hundred rupees. No, a lot more. And the two things that kept them was spirit of working together on something they believed will do, and being innovative, believing that what we develop together is something that is not only does not only have an effect on the cash flow of our company, but also impacts a lot of customers. And think of a company that is a small company, 10 employees perhaps, that manages to sell to Coca-Cola and to Facebook and to Deloitte and to Bank of America and to Adobe and to Dell. And you realize that in a small company, everyone has an effect. It's the office manager that actually makes the shipments to the customers. It's the operation manager who actually helps us manufacture in China. It's the salespeople, obviously. It's the support people that work with the customer in order to make it happen. It's the CFO to make sure everything works in time. Obviously, the R&D people deliver things. So in a small company, everyone feels that the innovation and the ability to penetrate the market and enter the market with a solution that's worth something means a lot to them. I know it means a lot to them. And if I can say from my experience in many of the companies, and I work for companies that had thousands of employees,
Right.
when they lack innovation, it's painful. It's painful for the leaders. It's painful for the innovative people. It's painful for the engineers, even though they're paid well. And even though they work in a market leader, if they don't feel that they're doing something worthwhile and innovative and significant, they will look for alternatives.
Right, absolutely, excellent. One thing I noted is people look for synergy. People look for exciting work. It does not matter to them how much money they are making, but what matters is whatever they are building, be it even converting a client, they are actually doing it for a greater purpose, and that greater purpose is innovation. That greater purpose is to have a better future ahead, and that's so great, Doran. Now, because we have been talking about innovation at Point Grab and the importance and value it has for everybody, I want to understand one more thing from you: is that who is driving this innovation? Is it driven from top to bottom, or people at Point Grab are also coming up with their own unique ideas, and the management is taking them up? It's like a bottom to up model as well.
I think it has a lot in every company, and definitely in Point Grab, it has a lot to do with the way the organization looks at innovation. And I'll give you two perhaps different, almost opposite perspectives. I worked in a company in which they had an innovation committee.
Okay.
And that committee would meet every week or 2 weeks. It had some executives and some engineers, and people could join, but it was structured. So it's as if I have a very busy agenda, and every Wednesday or every other Wednesday at 3 o'clock, between 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock, I have to be innovative. Right? That's one way of doing things. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying it's an organization that is a great but busy organization that says, I want to make sure that I drive innovation. I need to put time for it in the calendar. Another organization would say, I'm allowing my employees to invest 20% of their time, that's 1 day a week for those of you who have calculation issues, in doing their own things. And when I say their own thing, that doesn't mean that they're now going home to play with their pet, or they're open their own restaurant. That's not what it means. It means take your skills, take our facilities, and make something of what you know and what you want to do that will be innovative. It could be on charity basis, it could be donation to something else, it could be for the community, it could be for yourself. All of this is possible. You asked in Point Grab, so I'll answer. Point Grab is a small company. If there's one thing that I truly dislike is yes men. It's people who are thinking, oh, that's what the CEO said, this is what we'll do, that's the right thing. No, I encourage opposition, I encourage conflicts of opinions, I encourage different opinions, and this is the ground for innovation in my eyes. So innovation can come from my secretary, it can come from the CFO, it can come from the CTO, it can come from a developer that we hired just 2 months ago. It's not limited. We didn't put any time in the schedule for it, but it is keep coming to the table every single meeting. We had a management meeting earlier today, following the call that I had with someone from Deutsche Telekom, and I spoke to my CTO, and during that meeting today, there was kind of quite a brilliant idea that some of us thought of it together. And we're going to drive it through from next week onwards. And it's just about people not being criticized for bringing to the table ideas that are not conventional. I think it starts with that.
Amazing. So it's great to know that everybody in the company is also coming up with ideas, and you being the leader are open to take the criticism, take the decisions, take their ideas along, and discuss with the broader team at a specified time as well, which is again putting your agenda loud and clear to everybody that you are not just here to do programming, to do sales, but you also got to think. You've got a brain on top of your body, right? Which must be put to use.
Listen, it took me time to get off my law studies and from being a lawyer into growing into a real man, right? I hope you'll get there one day too. No, I'm joking. But no, I seriously think I'm leading a technical company. I don't have any technical or engineering background. So on one hand, it's a disadvantage. On the other hand, I think it's a great advantage. I have no limitations. No one ever taught me, oh, this is impossible. Everything is possible. And just to mention the idea from today, we have sensors that are connected through either cabling power of Ethernet, over Ethernet, or through Wi-Fi. And I thought, that's nice. That's very good for scaling up and for the organization. How about quick wins? How about coming with the sensor, just connecting it, just like you connect an earring to the ear, to the ceiling, and have use it as a mobile device. So rather than connecting to the cloud, it will connect through mobile. So it's an easy installation, fast installation, very quick win, very quick demonstration of the possibility. The very same day you came to the office, you install it, you already see data on your laptop. Quite amazing. And some of you might have thought, oh, why didn't you think of it earlier? Well, because that's not the conventional way our sensors work. That's not the conventional work in the industry. No one else does it today in the industry. So you heard it here first. You do not copy me. I have good lawyers.
Yes, you should not copy. And of course, if let's say somebody is copying, is your lawyers would come back with the references, with the different search reports to you saying that, okay, somebody in the world has already done this. And this is not your team, your guys' invention. All right. So yes, thank you so much, Doron, again for sharing that. Ilan, I would like to understand that what are challenges for you for raising funds, because you have mentioned that, okay, now you have filed an IP, right? You have filed certain patents for your algorithms. But what kind of tech challenges do you face when you go to the investors and ask for the funding?
Well, in my space, the tech is nice and important, and it's like they want to see it. But to be very frank, I think most important to them is revenue and customers and traction, because what they really want to see is, are we solving a real problem? In other words, do we have a product market fit? And are we solving a real problem for real customers? And the tech is important. This is the second question they ask is it defensible?
Right.
Okay, you can have a defensible technology that nobody needs. So it doesn't matter. So first of all, you want to have something that matters, and then you want to ask, is it defensible? So for me, it's first and foremost is happy customers, and the second questions were about the technology.
All right, so it's important to actually have customer are basically your people, right? People who are using your software, people who are working to develop the software, and all the people around us basically should be happy, is what I can take from.
Happy and paying us money. Happy
Yes.
paying us money and want to continue to pay us money, and they pay money because they see value. Otherwise, otherwise it doesn't matter.
All right, so it's very important to add value in whatever we do, be it running a software tech company, or be it running a product company or a service company, or even we as a human being. It's so important to add value in each other's life. And I believe that's how people make connection, that's how people remember each other, and that's how we have that impact whenever we meet somebody, right? So I'll move on to Shivangi. And Shivangi, I would like to understand what are 5 small basic hacks or basic tricks which everybody who's seeing us right now can adopt to make them cyber compliant, or make them safe whenever they're browsing online.
I
5
wish
basic tips.
don't visit sites which look shady. Do not download stuff which is not required. We have this tendency to open every photograph and every video that comes to you as a forward on WhatsApp. Avoid doing that. Switch off images on your email as default. I think today most mail products anyway come with images switched off. Regularly patch your devices. We remember to install antivirus, anti-malware, but we often forget to patch, right? So patching is equally important. So install, I mean, you get prompted in your app stores now for, updates on
Security
your,
updates. Yeah.
not just security, general updates also. Please install them immediately. And be very, very careful about the data you put out there. So I see people sharing dates of birth and, locations and addresses on social media when it's not required. Why? Be careful about the information you put out there. Be particularly careful about, photographs and info you put about children. They don't even have any control over you. I know everybody loves their kids, but if you really love them, stop putting pictures online. Okay.
All
Um,
right.
so some of these things is what I can think about. Think about the apps you download on your mobile. Using an app, spring clean your mobile every 2-3 months. Remove the apps you don't use. Um, Basic stuff, basic hygiene.
Wow. So we've got a cyber hygiene from Shivangi. And one of the things which just stuck to me is you said that one should not have images while sending the emailers out. Now, we did this market event, right? We are doing this summit. And in all of my marketing emails, I have this poster where you guys are there. Me and Amit is at the left, and all the 14 speakers are on the right. And this is part of all of my email communication. So is that also one of the reason why I could not, let's say, get more and more people, because a lot of people might have already listened to you and shut off their image download option to their emails?
Actually, they don't have to listen to me. Outlook, if you use Outlook, for example, it by default has turned off. And not everybody is, will trust a mail coming from somebody they don't know and go and specifically click on that image icon to download it, right? So always have a backup of text. So it's not, if you have a
Okay.
mail just images, there's a likelihood that nobody will ever read it because they've not gone and downloaded them. So yeah.
All right. Wow. Wonderful. So one next change I'm going to do is from today onwards, all the emails which I'm going to send out will not have an image at all. I'll even remove an image from my signature too. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'll take that as a learning.
Okay.
Yeah. So now my question is to Ilan. So Ilan, we just heard about not putting images, not putting locations, not putting more information on social media. So how is marketing team gonna help in this situation when people are not putting the locations out, not putting much of information on social media and erstwhile? How is the automation tools gonna help us create more leads, create more chances?
So it might be the good practice, but all you need to do is go to LinkedIn and Facebook to see that with all the respect to Shivangi's great advice, very few are following your advice. And it seems that today, be it as it may, today anybody who wants to promote his career puts his profile on LinkedIn and puts a picture and,
Right.
yeah, be honest with you, puts the story of his life. His resume is public to everybody. So good luck with that. And everybody's harvesting this information, scraping it, reselling it, packaging it, guessing numbers, guessing emails. That's the jungle we're living in.
Right.
And yeah, is it going to change in the future? If I knew the future, I wouldn't be here in the panel. So, I don't know, but my gut says that this whole economy today assumes that people will be willing to share part of their private life in exchange to private, in exchange for free services. And that's what's running the economy today. And everybody is, and once you have this agreement between the two sides, you can take this information is then is sold and used all around. And they say that if you haven't figured out what you're buying or what's a product that Google is selling you, you are the product.
You are the product, yes.
It's telling you, and so I didn't invent it, right? Everybody knows. So, and that's in business and in Google and everywhere. And I doubt this will change.
Right. In fact,
just to add to what Ilan said,
yeah.
in the old economy, we used to be products, but now everyone shifts to SaaS, so we are no longer products; we are services. Just keep that in mind.
Right.
Right.
And I'm not sure it's a good change.
And in fact, one more point to add on Doron, what you said. Of course, we are in SaaS and we are not doing products. But if let's say we are not paying for a service, then we are also a product.
In a way, definitely.
Yes. So I guess this is covered in one of the recent documentaries which is released on Netflix, The Social Dilemma. I just finished that up, and it had so many interesting and eye-opening conversations about data privacy, cybersec, and how we are getting sold to a lot of companies. People are actually voting, putting bets on whether we would be opening our phones or not, whether we would be clicking like, comment, sharing, all of that. So yes, data is the king. Data is the king, and protection is what everybody needs. And it's very important to protect your ideas to make a difference between life and death. This is what Doron said. Thank you so much for all the insights. Now I open this panel discussion to all of you. So I have been asking a lot of questions. Now we are into the last 10 minutes of our discussion. I would like to open this forum to Doron, Ilan, Shivangi. Now, whatever questions you have for each other, you can go and fire and get your answers from the other speaker as well. So if anybody wishes to go ahead first, please do so. If let's say Shivangi has a question for Ilan or Doron, you can go ahead and ask them right away. Maybe Ilan can ask about the different data privacy norms which Shivangi was telling just now.
I'll go. I've always been fascinated by the whole ecosystem around innovation and technology. And Doron, what you just explained about what you do is so really fascinating, and about how the company pivoted. So what would you give as folks like us who are trying to build products out of India? What would you say as your 3-4 key insights to us that we could use and learn from your experience?
Thanks for the credit. I'm not sure I have a good answer for it, but I'll try to share from my experience. I read somewhere about 2 years ago that every year, the amount of engineers coming out of India's universities and colleges in every single year are equal to the total number of engineers in Israel. So there is no capacity limitation in India. We all know there's no quality limitation in India. And one should ask themselves, and you made the step. How do you make the brains of India and the experience of India into really an innovative country? And if there was one advice that I'm giving my kids, and I would give you as well, not because you're my kids, but because I think it's correct, is don't bother putting limitations on yourself. Reality will anyway come and put limitations. Don't think, oh, this idea will not be possible. It will be too expensive to make. No one will be interested. No one would like, I do not know how to stand in front of people and speak in front of people, so it will never work. No limitations. Just go and think. And I'm working with teenagers here in Israel on some form of innovation programs. Mm-hmm. It's a pro bono thing. And the one thing that I say is keep asking questions. What bothers you? If it bothers you and your family, it might bother hundreds or thousands or millions of families. Find a solution. And being innovative comes from spotting a problem that was not solved until now. And I'll ask the panelists here, do all of you have hot showers at home? I assume yes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And let me share with you a problem that I have in the winter. I'm coming into the shower, I'm turning on the water, and there's a stream of cold water coming for at least 10 or 15 or 20 seconds, right?
Right.
Doesn't it kill you? Such a simple problem, couldn't it be solved? Now, the physical explanation is very simple. In the beginning, there is hot water coming, but the entire heat is taken to warm the pipes. So by the time it comes to you, it's cold. How difficult it is to simply develop a cycle that the water will run in between until the pipes are hot enough, and only then it will open up. How much of money is going to be saved, right? Rather than having 15 seconds of water multiple in millions or rather billions. It's not that complicated to invent, right?
Right.
It doesn't take an engineer, it doesn't take to be a rocket scientist to do that. It wasn't done, at least as far as I know, it wasn't done, not in masses. Go and invent it. So if I was born in the 60s, mind you, if I can think of a problem and think of a solution, you guys would come with hundreds of better ideas for more problematic issues.
Amazing, amazing. Wow, so all the viewers here, now we have a challenge and a problem, real life problem which everybody is facing. Why do we stand and waste 10-15 seconds of water before getting a hot water coming out of the shower? So now the Doron has already given us the problem statement. I would encourage everybody to come up with a solution and share with us, and maybe we can have Doron as well again to think about the idea. Maybe he would love to invest in that idea too.
Don't share with us. Come with a solution and go and make money out of it.
Yes, and also protect your IP first and then share across, because that's important. Otherwise, there will be a situation of life and death. And also talk to Ilan and get this product out to a larger audience using the RPA tech which he has built in. That will help your sales and marketing team too. Excellent.
Go and make money, guys.
Yes, everybody's gonna
do something, but do something for humanity while at it.
Absolutely. That's again the most important thing is whenever you are inventing, invent something which can solve real life problems. Invent something which can help the life of humans and make it easy. Okay, we wanna have a place where everybody is so calm, so happy, and everybody gets what they want. Okay, so by innovation, we can keep that thing going. That's so important. Thank you so much, all of you. If nobody has any further question for anybody else, or Ilan, do you wish to bounce a question across?
No, I'm good, thank you.
All right. Wow. So fantastic. This has been a very amazing discussion with all of you. Thank you so much for joining in. We would now be putting all of this discussion on YouTube. We'll be trimming down a lot of videos and your key messages, whatever you shared with us, and will be part of discussions for people online. We'll be sharing this content on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram as well. And we'll get back to you whenever you have any queries. So thank you so much again for being part of the day 2 of eSummit, which is on startup funding and IP. And look forward for the same participation and support from all the other folks out there who are listening to us from different geographies. We're gonna be coming up tomorrow, same time, 11 a.m. EST with another power-packed panel on day 3 of eSummit. Thank you so much. And we will be sharing the YouTube link. We just have one comment from Mike. Mike will be sharing the YouTube link post this 4 days of event, and you will have it in your email as well without images. All right. Thank you so much, guys. You have been
Thank you.
very great
Thank you very
folks.
much.
Look forward to talk to you again. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Good evening and good morning at your ends.